Hey guys, surprised to see me and not Luis. Yeah, the market crash hit him pretty hard. I think he's taking up knitting. Poor Luis. Okay, so I may have just been kidding about that Luis thing, I hope. Luis, hang in there, buddy. But we do need to address some serious things. Okay, first of all, Bitcoin fell from about 6,300 to 4,200, and that's about a 70 billion loss in market. Yeah, that's not good. So, that's what we need to address, guys. That's what we need to talk about. And I have someone just for us. Hello, fellow Jedis, and wow, it has been quite a week for the crypto industry. Maybe we could even sort this out a little bit. So today I have with us Mati Greenspan, Senior Market Analyst from eToro. How are you, Mati?
Doing great, thanks. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Woke up, checked how Bitcoin was doing. I'm fine. I guess the first question, the main question is probably bothering a lot of people right now. What happened, Mati? What happened with the market crash? Were there any fundamental reasons for what happened, or was this some kind of global panic attack?
Well, put things in perspective, it's not that big of a jump. All we're seeing here is a little bit of the natural Bitcoin volatility stepping back into the markets. I think people kind of forgot what that was like after a few months of stability.
Yeah, you were stating that in the case of a continuous drop, there will be a new support, and that will be around 3,000 or maybe 3,500. Why the call on that number exactly?
So it's just looking at the price history. The issue with what happened with the volatility in the bull run is that Bitcoin didn't give itself much, on the way up, it didn't give itself much room to build in natural price levels, right? So it just went from here, tested here, and then just jumped up to here, right? So if we go back on the history, we can actually see that the previous two levels that were important are $5,000 per coin and $3,000 per coin. I'll just put the line on the chart, and you'll see exactly why.
Okay.
These are round numbers, so $3,000 and $5,000 per coin. So in technical analysis, those are also called psychological barriers or psychological support levels. So if I put those two lines there, you can actually see pretty clearly, right? There was the 3,000. It actually took, in 2017, it took 3 months or almost exactly 2 months to pass over that 3,000 level. And once it did, it tested up at 5,000. It came back to 3,000 to test it on the lower level. And then once we saw it break above 5,000, that was the rest is history, right? So now we're just smack dab in the middle of that. Actually, I was surprised to see it bounce off of 4,000, and that is a pretty bullish sign.
Okay, so do you think it's going to be more of like a precipitous drop, or how do you see this playing out? Because right now it's hanging in at about 44.50.
Yeah. We can't really know what's going to happen in the future. What I can say is that we're right now in the range between 3,000 and 4,000. We're actually in the upper part of the range. So that dip below 5,000, well, the dip below 6,000, I think was pretty significant. That's what brought the volatility back into the market. There's been this huge descending triangle that was hanging over the market's head. Descending triangle is usually a pretty bearish sign, but actually it was able to hold up throughout most of the year. So this is the descending triangle. So you can see if you put that level right there, you touch all the tops along the way. And what this means is you have a psychological level on the bottom, and then there's a natural place in the market where the people who are on the sell side are willing to accept a little bit of a lower price. The people who are on the buy side want a lower price. The people who are on the sell side are accepting a lower price, until you get to the point. And we were expecting a breakout. We had to have a breakout of this triangle either way. Usually the psychological barrier is the one that gives, but it can also happen the other way. In this case, it was definitely the psychological barrier, that round number at 5,000, that gave way. You had a lot of stop losses that were building up on both sides, so it could have gone either way. I think it was just coincidental that it went to the downside. And when you have those stop losses, stop loss gets triggered, that gives another another sell order onto the market. It's a chain reaction where you have people getting liquidated, as you said, people panicking, and you can see the effect very clearly on the charts.
Okay, so in your estimation, is there overall a fair price for Bitcoin? I mean, how do you even define a fair price at this point?
That is an excellent question. It's something that, like most things in the crypto market, is under construction at the moment, right? In traditional finance, bonds and stocks, you have all sorts of indicators and methods. In the crypto market, in any case, we're looking at adoption rates, which are a very small percentage of the entire global population. So a lot of what people are doing is trying to predict what it should be worth in 5 years' time, what it should be worth in 10 years' time, given that the adoption level is increased. So those valuation metrics are very much being developed at the moment, and the only real indication that we have to go on is price. Where does the buyer meet the seller at the end of the day? And having that history of the history of the price, it actually opens up the entire world of technical analysis, and you can see that the crypto market does adhere to technical analysis fairly religiously.
Okay, and not to completely freak everyone out, but Bloomberg Analytics, for example, said the worst is yet to come, and I think they quoted it as being maybe, they said something like the drop is going to be about 1,500, possibly even by
1,500. Yeah.
Personally, my heart starts.
You know what? It's possible. Look, my price prediction on Bitcoin has not changed from the beginning of the year. In January, I gave the same price prediction. I can say with a 99% certainty that Bitcoin will be between $100 and $1 million by the end of the year.
And is there something that can depend on? So going off the 1,500 at the end of the year, is there something that would need to happen for it to reach that number?
It depends on the volumes, really. I mean, so far, I don't feel like we've seen volumes increasing significantly, and that's a bit of a problem, because when you have light volumes, there's a lack of liquidity in the market. That's what we saw the entire way up in 2017, was a lack of liquidity. Everybody was buying and nobody was selling. So when that happens, the buyer needs to raise his price in order for the seller to agree to pass over the Bitcoin. And that can happen on very low volume, where even one big buyer comes in and says, I want to buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and where's he going to get it from? So all of the sellers raise their price, and that's kind of what happens. In this case, if we have increased panic selling, similar to what we've seen last week, yeah, I mean, it's possible for it to get that low, but let's see how it holds now. It's a bit of a bounce off 4,000. The next level of support, really, as we said, is 3,000. If it breaks below that, anything can happen.
If we move on a bit to Bakkt, they announced, I think, not so surprisingly, that they're going to move their launch. They're postponing it to January. So do you think that has everything to do with the market crash, or just a little bit?
The Bakkt announcement that they're going to delay the launch did precede a little bit of a market fall. So here is all that volatility that we saw over the last week. Okay, so here's the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. And then we saw the SEC and Tether, or it was a Friday where the SEC settled with Aragon and AirFox. The Bakkt announcement that they were going to delay came right here, right? So after the market had stabilized a bit, and then we can see that the market did find a new low after that announcement, but it also recovered within a few hours, right? So it's possible that announcement had some sort of effect on the market. But if we think about it, none of those events that we mentioned, Bitcoin Cash, hard fork, Tether, or Bakkt, none of these things have, or even let's say the wider sell-off in the tech stocks, right? It's all one big picture, but none of these fundamental news events should have any real reason to push the prices down, right? So if we analyze the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Why would it make the market fall? There's no reason. The Bitcoin Cash, the original Bitcoin Cash hard fork in August of 2017 made the markets go up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The Tether action, that's been going on for a year already. It's been developing. So what's new here? There's nothing that should have made people sell Bitcoin because of that, right? Or the SEC settling with those 2 ICOs. They settled. That's good news, right? They allowed them to register as securities retroactively. That's amazing. So why would the market fall on that?
Yeah.
The only real thing that I can say is that just like throughout the entire year, there's been good news and the markets have not responded positively to it. So what we can tell from that is that the markets are not responding to fundamentals. They're not responding to news. They're actually responding to the charts and to the technical analysis.
Do you think Bakkt's going to get regulatory approval? Do you think they're going to get permission?
They certainly think so. Mm-hmm. They're pretty confident. They're throwing a lot at this. I mean, they've got some of their big guns heading up this operation. They would not make such announcements if they weren't fairly confident that it's going to go through. Overall,
from this entire week and this entire experience, you are staying calm and collected. No panic.
No, I don't panic, and you know what? That's been the sentiment that I've seen among the people that I'm in contact with. Anybody who believed that crypto has a strong future 2 weeks ago still believes that. I don't think that anybody's really said, okay, let's roll over. Bitcoin is dead. You know, come on. You think about the paradigm shift that we're witnessing, the revolution of blockchain technology, for the first time, the ability that you can transfer value from one person to the other over the internet without a third party is game changing. Price volatility, it's a side effect of its price discovery, which is basically on steroids because we don't know what the future adoption curve is going to be.
Wow, thanks a lot, Mati, for such a profound and interesting market analysis.
Pleasure is mine. Have an awesome day.
Guys, how'd you like that? I mean, are you kind of grasping the idea? Even if Bitcoin falls to 3,000, don't panic. Everything's fine. As for what's going to happen next, who knows? But I do have one more piece of advice for you.